There we go. Thank you. I just wanted to welcome everybody to my first ever convening of a zoning board of adjustment for the town of Bakersfield. It's about 6:03 Wednesday, September 21st. My name is Brenda Churchill. I am the zoning administrator. I am a part of the hearing, but I am not any part of the zoning board of adjustment. They have the paperwork in front of them that exists as the request for hearing. The original approval of my document with the Hathaway's building permit, and I included the approval, the final approval from the select board of the driveway permit on it. I'd like to introduce Michael Gahn as the town's attorney, and he actually represents me in this, the town, excuse me.
No, I represent the ZBA.
There you go.
The zone. I do not represent Brenda as a zoning administrator. Brenda is a party to the a statutory party to this appeal, and as a result, if I represent her, I don't represent the ZBA. And the ZBA, I think, is relying upon me to give it legal advice based on the evidence, the application, etc. So I'm not giving legal advice to Brenda, albeit that I have spoken with her at length.
Clarification. Thank you. I'm going to have my zoning board of adjustment introduce themselves.
Just one other quick thing. I
yep.
think you did also include the appeal itself, the McSweeney appeal as part of the package for.
Yes, yes, I did.
So Melanie Riddle, zoning board of adjustment member. And one thing I want to note is that we don't have a chair. So this is the first meeting of the ZBA since the Bakersfield Select Board appointed all of us.
I am Maura Horn, and I'm also a member of the zoning board administration. Sorry, I'm also an additional member of the zoning board.
Hi, Heather Jewett, and I am also a member of the zoning board.
So I think the first thing. Or would like to make a nomination?
Seconded.
Okay. And I will be the chair of the zoning board of adjustment, and as Brenda noted, we started this at 03. And so we have do we have both parties here of both the
Can you just tell us who?
Yep.
Sorry.
Great, thank you. All right, first, I think it would be great if we could hear from the Hathaways. I have the permit, but bring us up to speed would be great.
I'm not sure at what point in time you want me to weigh in. And I'm not sure how you would like me to weigh in. So when you can take the evidence and then consider things in deliberative session. You can consider things in open session if you'd like to, but you are entitled to go into deliberative session. If you would like me to comment on the appeal at any point in time, I'm happy to do so. I'm prepared to do so. But whether you want me to do that at the get-go, or whether you prefer that I wait until you go into deliberative session, that's up to you.
Can you be a part of our deliberative session? Or is that
I
just
can be a part of your deliberative session. In fact, Brenda did ask, we did talk about the possibility that you might want me to prepare the proposed decision that you might make or will make.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, that's great. Yeah.
Just bring up, so this is the first time we're seeing this, so
Next screen.
sorry. Looking at the wrong one, I'm sorry. The Hathaway's not permit up.
So, let me just tell you what the procedure is. You're the appellant, and as the appellant, you're allowed to go first. You say what you want to say. You should be sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the extent that you're talking about facts. If you're talking about law, you don't have to swear to tell the truth about the law. But that'll be something that I will consider whether it's when I give advice to the zoning board of adjustment, I'll be trying to instruct the zoning board what they need to consider and what they don't need to consider. And then after you're done, Mr. Bonani will be allowed to ask you questions. He's allowed to raise objections if he would like to raise objections to what you may be saying. The rules of evidence are relatively relaxed, while the rules of evidence are those that apply to in a civil proceeding. In a general matter, there's a huge exception that you're allowed to testify on things that would be excluded under the rules of evidence if it's something that upon which a reasonable person would rely in the conduct of their own affairs. So that may swallow up a lot of objections such as foundation, hearsay, other types of things may be something that the zoning board may say, okay, that's admissible under that particular exception to the general rules of evidence. Unfortunately, I do have hearing aids. My hearing's not that great. With you with a mask on, it makes it much more difficult for me to hear you. And so I think that if you get up to the microphone, that would probably be a better place for you to be so that everybody can hear you, including the Hathaways and Mr. Banana. So just make sure that the music is on so
Well, the two things written on our appeal were the building permit and the drainage. And we're basically looking for assurance that the setback is met. And a survey was recently done by them. But we also have a surveyor up there now.
Trying to get more facts, basically, because it's some interesting, what would I call
The
them?
d-
Sure. Let me stop you before you get started into it. You want to make sure that you've been sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Do both of you so say?
Yes.
For sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, yeah, we got way more notes than I'm sure we even need or care to have. It's just, things were done in a unnormal fashion that we could start with. We know we followed the town's procedures on what to do, and things got done really quick. And nothing was followed that I could tell. And I had 3 to 4 different conversations with Ron just to tell him, no, this is what I had to go through.
With whom?
Ron
Who's Ron?
Hathaway, Mr. Hathaway here. You know, he welcomed him to the mountain, to the neighborhood, basically. And I said, this is what we did. And did you do this? And he said, well, I don't know. I said, well, this is what I had to do. And I told him, you know, you should check with the town and get their advice on what you're supposed to do. And that was, I don't know, my first or second conversation with him. I just, first thing out of my mouth was welcome. And I've tried to welcome him like everybody else on the mountain. So as things progressed, things were just getting done and
Very fast.
very fast. And we did not get to do things fast ourselves, which was fine. I don't care how fast you got to do it, but you know, trees were getting knocked down and the area was getting cleared and it's like, oh, great, he's got good help here, he's getting it done quick. Well, as time goes on, I start finding that there's this drainage right down towards my land. And I said, I don't know if that's really should be happening that way. I would just,
It seemed unnatural.
yeah. So then there's this pipe showing and I go, yeah, that's draining right down towards my property. And I look a little farther back and I go, oh, he's got a nice little ditch going out in the back headed towards my property again. So I didn't think that was very nice of my neighbor to do, but I kind of ignored it for a little while. Just let him do his thing
Well, we
because
didn't
he
ignore it. We just assumed that he
Well,
was doing what he
what he
was.
was supposed to do
permitted
by
to
the
do.
town. Yeah. Well, I had no idea. I wasn't trying to check up on him. and
No,
I had no reason to. So as time goes on, I just, had another conversation with him. He even welcomed me to some of the wood. I said, I don't really need any. I got plenty of wood. We just had a few nice conversations. I thought we're fine. And as time goes on,
but he never came to us about anything that he was doing,
Oh,
which
no.
involved our land too,
no,
or our border boundary.
yeah, which we're not really defined that is known because he
Well, we
ended up having a survey done. So that's the next part, is the survey. The drainage is one thing. The ditch and the drainage was, sent right towards my direction. I thought, could have been handled a little better, but I didn't know any different. I still don't. So I just know it's not natural flow of wastewater or natural drainage. It's just unnatural to send it to your neighbors. It's not, it should have went down towards the road or something. I don't
or
think
the
it should have,
brook or the ditch.
or ditch, something. It just didn't seem right. So that's the drainage issue that I have mainly. I'm sure there's something that should be done a little differently. I don't know. I'm trying to
We just,
check with my notes to see if I'm trying to cover everything too, this is new. So,
we just kind of wish there was more communication from him about everything.
yeah,
And
I mean, I've approached him every time. He's never talked to me. He never come to see me. So,
we've never, we have tried.
so.
I
As for,
I guess I thank everyone for this meeting too, to open up the communication because we haven't had any. And, it's good to see everybody here, including them. And that maybe we can get this in resolution with some of this.
Okay, so do speak up.
all right,
I can tell you that I am currently
Okay,
through your husband pretty well.
all right.
I have less ability to hear you.
I moved it.
Because your voice is a higher timbre.
yeah, okay,
Okay. Is that better?
Do speak up because
absolutely.
not only I
Thanks for letting us know.
more important EDA here
Okay,
and also
of course.
One thing I want to say is I've watched some of those Zoom meetings. You have to have the mic right to your mouth, otherwise they can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Bottle. So, and I guess we're back to the building permit then.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to repeat that I said. I just am thankful that we at least can open up communication in this meeting.
So. Once I know he had started doing
Show you pictures, I
the
suppose.
drainage, I don't know if I need to even show pictures, if they need it.
if you want us to see the pic, you want the ZBA to see the pictures, you need to share them with the ZBA and leave them here with the ZBA. And you probably should let Mr. Bonanno look at the pictures before you.
Well, you really should have your own, because, you know, it's,
Well, he wants to see at least what you're submitting, so he can. say-
Sure.
One in the back and one in the
this
front.
is, I'm standing on my land when I took these pictures.
You
That's,
have to give one to them, it's the same. one,
well,
isn't
they're
it?
this, they're not, there's different angles. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, as long as we can.
and this is the ditch in the backyard.
We only have one of that.
Yeah.
Well,
You
live-
know,
you'll
the
live
pictures
with
only do it
temporarily.
doesn't really do it justice. I mean, they're hard to see. It's just the ditch in the backyard. Going towards my land.
If there's anything you want the ZBA to see, it will be lost at least temporarily, if not permanently.
Yeah. I ain't worried about that.
This is the brook that you're talking about it could drain into? No.
That's out, it's a distance picture of the brook.
Oh, that.
Yes, in the back.
So I would request that you mark each picture as McSweeney 1, McSweeney 2, McSweeney 3, or whatever, so that we can keep track of what it is.
Sure what we're looking at in this one exactly.
That's basically on the drainage.
I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. in
Yeah,
this
this-
picture exactly.
This one is out back. You can see it.
Okay, yeah.
It shows the land.
Just wait a second, so Jack is here. Here, okay, McSweeney 1 is what?
So this is your property or,
Oh, this is.
so this right in the front here are pipes?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
That's the
It's
side.
it's the sideline of the ditch.
So is this coming from this?
There.
These two are basically the same picture at a different angle.
Right,
So
right.
this
This
is
is what
between
I'm
the-
more, I have a question on.
This is the sideline that was in question with Riley's to begin with.
Okay.
This is the backyard, back of the cleared area. This is the ditch.
Okay, that one's labeled what, McSweeney?
That should be 1 and 2.
This should be
This
3.
should be 3, because this shows the ditch better, a
Okay,
little closer picture,
so,
and of the, you know, survey they have done.
so I'm going to interrupt you
Just
for a
another
moment.
angle.
Going to interrupt you for a moment. Just want to keep things clear. McSweeney 1 is, I'm sorry. I'm-
Do you want to talk into my microphone?
So, it's on. So McSweeney 1 is a picture that shows that was taken from your property looking towards the new building, correct?
Correct.
And the gravel area shows a drainage of some sort with a pipe that goes underneath the drainage.
Right, we have no idea what else there is in
Okay.
for drainage that I can see.
And
That I took a picture of. I can see, I don't know what else.
and McSweeney 2 is essentially the same picture with a slightly different angle. McSweeney
That is
3 is a picture
the-
taken again from your
Okay.
property,
No,
This is.
from their property.
from on,
This is the
from Riley's,
their property.
probably.
Riley's on the other property.
Yeah,
you
it's
allowed to
right on the border, you see there's a pin.
Okay, who's pinned it? Do you know who's pinned that?
This is what survey they had done by Jervius.
Mike
Mike
Jarvis.
Jarvis.
Jarvis,
Yep.
all right, I'll say it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the pin that
This
was,
is a pin that,
and,
that Jarvis put in,
and so to the right of the pin,
should be Riley's.
Riley, to the left of the pin.
So the pin should be Ron's.
Can you
Okay.
write that on the bottom there, like a little arrow?
Put Riley on right there and
Thank you.
Hathaway here.
And who is Riley? I thought-
Riley must be
He's
the
the
person
other
on the other
neighbor on the
property, on
other
the other side of.
Okay.
And when you see the map from the surveyor,
Mhm.
you will see clearly there, and it does say, I thought this showed the trees, some of the
Okay.
trees at the top.
This
Not
thing,
our business.
and this thing here, monument property line, is that something that you added to the picture?
No,
So this is like a pole that's standing up?
This is what Jarvis put there. That
Okay. That's
I
it.
don't know.
I'm
for a
just,
fact. I
just
know
surprised. I have never seen anything like
It
that.
says Jarvis right on. I have. a
On that,
photo.
but I'm talking about this whole.
Yeah, I have no, I have to just assume it's all related. I don't
Okay.
have any
Okay,
notion to know any different. That's,
and this is,
I
and
don't
then
have that fact.
in McSweeney 4, is that what this is?
Yeah.
It's now on it. McSweeney 4
Yeah,
is,
You can see in the distance, these can get blown up too. That's a poster that Riley's put up once they assumed that Ron was on his land.
okay, so that's
That's a
just
poster.
a
So one
sign
of the
saying no
yellow-
trespass or
Yeah,
something?
poster.
Okay,
One of the yellow
and so
posters.
on the, okay, so Riley's land is back here.
Riley's
beyond-
land is to this right side. And
Okay,
Ron's is to
and
the.
Hathaway's to the left, so
This
we'll
is
get
facing-
put,
this is facing the-
so we're gonna put, that says Riley sideline, and this should be Hathaway.
These are.
Is there a reason why Riley didn't come tonight or?
Can I ask where the ditch is? I'm sorry. I just-
You're here. right across here.
Is this the ditch as well?
No, this
No.
is the new line.
That's
That's
right.
drainage.
That's the
Two
drainage.
different things. One's a ditch, and one's drainage.
Okay,
Yes.
and is this your property back here?
No, our property's off to the. Yes, it's off.
Okay, so the ditch keeps on going, and then
It
it,
goes from one end of the property to
and
the
it
other.
goes
And this is the
from,
ditch that
It's even in the
Hathaway
sur- it's in the survey as
and
well.
it goes this direction.
Yeah,
So the water goes down that way.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
I've learned
We
more
need a
with
copy
the
of, yeah,
survey.
we need a copy of the survey.
Now, you,
Do we-
yeah,
does
your
it count?
survey from Amblo?
I have not had our survey completed yet. I'm not ready to complete it. Okay.
Who's doing your survey?
Button, they,
But-
no surveys, they are doing all the land behind us is because our land goes up into their land.
Mhm.
So they're already hired to do them, and I said, while you're doing them, please do ours too, because
So is he doing all of your boundaries?
you,
Okay.
the 209. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They've got 200.
Sorry, could I have you folks just kind of pop over to the side a little bit just so that we're not hearing two conversations?
So
Sorry.
Where can I go?
As soon as we've heard the end of them, then we'll have,
Yeah, we
we'll
just-
give you your turn.
does, what is that monument? I know nobody knows who put it in, but what is the
What does that even mean?
significance of that?
So that's.
That's the pin,
just a pin.
Yeah, a pin is often called a monument, so.
Oh, okay.
That's, yeah, you,
Oh.
usually you just, they just put in pins.
Okay.
So he had both. Okay,
But maybe.
Okay.
maybe his guy didn't take it out.
Yeah.
Well, he did, yeah. Okay.
So, done some preliminary work, absolutely, yes. And he's doing some preliminary conclusions, but those conclusions are not available tonight.
They are not yet, no.
So it is my understanding that you're likely to be asking for an adjournment of the hearing after you presented your evidence. And if the only thing that you would like to present hereafter would be Mr. Anglo's survey, whether he's here or whether he decides to forego his physical presence. Obviously, if there are questions that need to be answered by Mr. Anglo, if he's not here, you would be at a disadvantage.
Yes, he's not here. He does not have enough information to make any conclusion at this point.
Okay,
That is why we would ask for an extension to make this all.
that's up to the board to decide whether or not they'll.
We're looking at we're looking at a postage stamp or a bowling alley. He's gonna have a much bigger picture which encompasses all these lands. Because he's doing a 209 acre plot plus our 20 acre plot, which
More or
goes up
less,
against.
they're all more or less.
They're all more. But that's what's said, that they will all be
We
included
just,
Let me,
at the end.
this may be an opportune time for me to do a little bit of talking to the ZBA. there's two questions to the appeal. And right at the moment, we seem to be addressing the survey question, if you will.
Yeah, I just started.
My understanding is that there is a survey that's done by Michael Jarvis. And well, the appeal is whether or not this particular permit should have been issued. And if you look at the application for the permit, it does show the setbacks that the house has from the boundary line. And as a result, it appears to, okay, you need to let me finish.
Sorry.
Okay, but I'll give you plenty of, the board will give you plenty of opportunity to respond to whatever I may say. So, that the application meets the requirements, and the requirements are, does it show enough setback from the sideline? If it turns out, right at the moment, we do not have any evidence as to where the sideline may be, but that doesn't affect the application itself. The application says that the structure is built at least 30 feet away from the sideline as depicted on the application. From that viewpoint, the approval of the application is proper. What the problem would be is that if the boundary line is in some other location than as depicted on the application, then in that event, the building might have been constructed within the setback and would be an illegal encroachment. It would be contrary to what's reflected in the application and in the permit as approved.
So they're not debating whether or not that these guys built knowingly in the wrong area.
It
They
doesn't
built
matter.
in their due diligence, they built where they thought was legal. And they're saying, well, maybe not because of the,
It doesn't matter what decision they may have made. If it turns out that they built in the wrong place, the appropriate remedy available to the zoning administrator or to a neighbor is to investigate a complaint that comes in, and then would not be an appeal of the permit, but would be an enforcement of the permit saying you built in the wrong place. You need to, that building needed to be moved more than 30 feet away from the boundary line. The problem that, and so from that viewpoint, I think that this portion of the appeal is inappropriate. That's my personal opinion, and my legal opinion, as well as my personal opinion, but that's up to you folks, the ZBA, to decide how you want to handle something. You're allowed to make mistakes, you're allowed not to follow whatever advice I may give you. But at some point in time, there may come to Brenda or a zoning administrator some evidence, whether a survey done by Glenn Anglo, and then there would be an investigation by the zoning administrator, and the zoning administrator would probably talk to the Hathaways and say, what evidence do you have that your property, that the boundary line is where you say it is? If there's a dispute as to the correct location of the boundary line, I think it's certainly possible that Brenda or whoever may be acting as a zoning administrator may say, okay, you've convinced me, or you haven't convinced me. And if you haven't convinced me, then the zoning administrator would say, I'm not convinced that there's been a violation, but there would be a written letter that would be generated by the zoning administrator, given to the Hathaways and a copy to the complainant saying, here's my decision, and if you don't like my decision, then you can take an appeal from the decision that I may make, whether to enforce a violation or to find no violation to the ZBA. So that would come to you eventually, and if the decision that you may make was unacceptable in that format, then they would go to the environmental court. Just like if you were to make a decision this evening that this is not the appeal number one, the location of the boundary line doesn't affect the validity of the permit, because the permit says it's more than 30 feet away. It's based on that assumption. But if the Sweeney's, if that's the decision you were to make, the Sweeney's could take an appeal
from that decision to the ZBA. But on the other hand, they could say, oh, yeah, I'll accept that decision, that the application and the permit are correct. And then come back through a complaint process to say that they violated the terms of the permit. Did I confuse everybody, or is everybody clear on what I said? You know, lawyers don't necessarily talk the same way that anybody else does.
They talk fast.
We can talk about it later, we can go into deliberative
I
session.
think that's good for now. Thank you.
So I just want to add that we have high respect for either surveyor. And
Sorry, say that again.
we have high respect for either surveyor. We're not coming down on any survey, or we're just trying to see that it's right. Because we're happy to get all the boundary lines down. I mean, we want to know too. And we wouldn't want to, encroach on somebody else's land up there either. And we just feel like such a large picture of the land is getting surveyed by Bakers and then our parcel, that it may help. And also from our understanding, the survey that Jarvis did was he started from the top down. And we're kind of wondering about from the bottom up. And we're happy to get it all squared away. I mean, I think everybody on the mountain would be happy to know.
I would encourage both Mr. Jarvis and Mr. Angelo to speak with one another, to share surveys, to see if the two of them can reconcile
Sure, I don't,
opinions.
yes, I'm not sure that there is any discord at this point.
Okay, so
I'm just saying that as far as our comfort level and looking at the setback that's required, we do know that an old pin was moved in this survey, which we regarded or always thought was our pin. We were told, and my husband can follow through with that one.
Yeah. For the time we've owned the land up there, there's,
how long have you owned the land?
9 years now.
Okay, and how's it improved at this point?
Proved.
That where you live?
Oh.
Is there a house there, or is it bare land with?
There was
with
very
trees?
land we started, we went through the process of getting a road access permit. And we staked out our area where we wanted to put the camp, the town
Is
came
that
and said,
something that you did with the benefit of a surveyor, or is it what you did based on what?
what we did through the advice of the town and the steps we were supposed to follow to get a building permit.
That wasn't my question, but the question is that when you laid out the pins that mark your property, you personally did that?
No,
Okay, that was done by a surveyor.
I see, that was already done for a previous survey before we bought the land.
Okay, so you know.
It was quite valid, yes. Oh,
Are you
yes,
speaking about the camp or the land?
the land,
Okay.
yes. So.
Hopefully, you made sure that you're at least 30 feet away.
Well, yeah. Big difference is when you have 400 feet of road frontage, you don't have to worry about it. But when you've got 125 feet, you ought to know where you're going before you start building, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Somebody send me a picture.
So, as for the building permit, we kept waiting for it to come up on sign on the road, and there was already a building there. Thought that was kind of backwards.
We agree.
So I kept watching, for that permit to come up, and it did. So that's why we decided we'd do the appeal, because,
That's when the sign came up.
yeah, once the sign came up, I didn't know they were gonna be. So, that's when I knew I had to do something, because also a sign came out saying for sale. I said, geez, I don't want this to go on to the next person and have him assume everything else is gonna go that way too. So,
I would like just to make a couple comments, just so that you have an opportunity to respond to what I may be saying.
yeah,
But with reference to the second point of the appeal, the drainage. I don't believe that the Bakersfield zoning bylaw deals with drainage whatsoever. That's not to say you don't have a remedy, it's just saying it's not a remedy that goes before the zoning board of adjustment, in my opinion. The law provides is that your neighbors are not supposed to change the natural flow of water either in quality or quantity. And so if they've changed the natural flow of water, they may have a cause of action, you may have a cause of action against them, but it's not here. We would have to
Fine.
go to probably an attorney to help you go through the civil division to see if you can, if you have a problem with the drainage as it's now developed.
now develop.
Well,
This is-
I understand there's a.
this
ditch
isn't a-
there, but
this
we don't-
isn't a-
We don't control ditches.
This isn't permit process. There's been a permit issued before, excavating and buildings have been made and they're already there.
We'd be happy to listen to the argument. If there's something in the zoning ordinance.
All
that
right.
say It just need to have a permit. Then I will stand corrected and see whether or not.
So-
permits are required.
So no one on the board comes together to help us think of, with the Hathaway, some kind of solution to remedy that problem? Or a safeguard like in the sale of this property?
That's not the function of the ZBA, is to act as a mediator. Certainly, we would encourage you and the Hathaways to see if you can resolve problems between one another. Mr. Bonanni is a well-known attorney and he knows how expensive litigation can be.
Yes.
And certainly the Hathaways understand that they have a lot to risk if there's something that's going on. So I would tend to think that they would want to reach a resolution that works for them and works for you. Otherwise, they may be spending tens of thousands of dollars, as may you, fighting in court over a couple years or more.
Okay, thank you. I do hope something will come of it with
Okay, well,
conversation. Thank you.
once we get done with the hearing,
Okay,
you'll have an opportunity to meet with Mr. Bonanni and the Hathaways, and if it turns out that you need to postpone that just because you need more information or whatever, or want to have some legal representation, I would just tell you that settlement discussions are not admissible in a court of law. So if you're trying to resolve a dispute between you and the Hathaways, what you may say today in connection with settlement discussions would not be something that would be admissible in a court of law. And I assume that Mr. Bonanni would confirm that.
thank you. I don't know what
So-
any of these are.
I do.
No, there isn't. It's about Earth resource extraction and I'm assuming nothing was sold
Gravel, selling.
to sell it. Yeah, that is the only time that the zoning bylaws that I have found and that in my previous experience and experience in another town typically state is that it's not unless.
It's certainly my experience of having represented a number of municipalities that rarely do they get involved in where a ditch is going to go on the property line, et cetera. It's one of those things, whether we should or we shouldn't, is a different issue, but they rarely do. Do you have anything else that you'd like to say? Okay, I interrupted.
Yeah, so, like taking pictures of some of these things that have been moving, that's all about the survey. Even the.
Well, let me ask the question, and I'm not sure what the zoning board of adjustment may be, but you would like to have this continued for October so that Len Amblo can do what he needs to do to Okay, so that's something the board will consider as part of this deliberative session as to whether or not there'll be an adjournment. Well, they may do that before we actually adjourn. They may kick everybody out of the room so we can discuss it, but it's something that needs to be decided before we adjourn as to whether or not there'll be another postponement.
Zoning board looks at the survey in comparison to the fees. Kind of odd.
I've not seen the deed, and I don't know if you've seen the deed.
No,
Okay, so do you have a copy of the deed?
Copy of the deed next to us. A copy of the survey that was done.
Okay, so you have a copy of this, of the
Yeah.
Jarvis survey,
Yeah.
and is that with you?
I guess. Had to blow them up, take pictures of them, yes. You know,
But they're not put
talk
together.
about.
They're not put together yet.
Well, that's just very-
Got
a picture
that,
that is very small.
the Hathaways may have a copy they would like us to see. Chad, is that something you have?
Well, we couldn't get one for a long time. Kept asking if they had it done, if they had it done. But.
Okay. I'm gonna show that this is what you took a picture of. And this is
Yeah.
what you would like to have the board consider. Even though it was presented by Chad. Is that fine with you, Chad? Okay, should I mark this as Hathaway A?
The deed was going by, show certain amount of footage, and they don't match up to what's on the survey done by Jarvis.
Okay, and do you have a copy of the deed? Okay. And Chad, were you planning to present a copy of the deed as well? Okay. So,
I don't know if it's up to date. I don't know. It's
it doesn't, well, let us look and see what it is, and then
the one prior to.
that's the same survey, I believe.
Yeah, that's just wrong. This is the deed that I'm gonna use, which is probably not.
No, this says, this is your deed.
No.
It says Larry, David Berry
Yeah,
to
well, there's been some
McSweeney.
confusion about the McSweeney that owned the land prior to Ron buying it.
Okay, so,
They used to border it.
so that this was a different McSweeney.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so this is and so they purchased, the Hathaways purchased land from McSweeney?
Yes.
Okay. This is like your brother or
No,
Cousin, just-
cousin, third, removed or whatever. I don't know how. I don't know.
Chad, do you know if this is in the chain of title to your client's property? Okay, I think we can consider it, but I think it's unlikely that it's going to influence our decision just because we have a survey. And we may have a map which shows that there's an inconsistency. We may have a sketch that appears on this deed that may be inconsistent. But that's something that I don't think that the ZBA has the ability to say which is right or which is wrong. That would be my guess.
yeah, that makes sense.
Then it becomes.
Tax map or something. Okay. And so.
And so I know it doesn't depict it, but does yours go further back then and kind of around into the Bakers?
And so this is the 2.5 acres.
Everything is.
Okay, we got a better deed. Yeah,
Right in the middle.
probably need that. You can mark that one.
No, we're just.
CA.
More about where everything is.
Okay. So let me, this is a copy of a portion of the deed from William and Sharon McSweeney to the Hathaways. It does give a meets and bounds description. So we'll mark your document, your deed as McSweeney 5. Okay.
I can go with planning commission.
Okay.
Updating the bylaw.
Do you have the deed here?
No, we haven't seen the deed.
Okay. Where did the deed go?
And this is your deed?
No.
Or,
This is a copy of what's in the land records.
okay,
And this little sketch is it's actually pasted on the deed. Okay, so we're gonna mark this one. We've done McSweeney 4, have we not?
yeah.
And that's 6.
So that's gonna be 7.
Okay, I thought we'd Charlie end up, are those just to be post,
5, 6, and 7. that would-
stapled together or taped together? In any event, you said this is 7.
And it's gonna be 8.
8. Okay.
How much are they?
Pardon me?
If it's 30 feet, are they in their opinion, are they 10 or 10,000? We don't know, we wanted to ask to examine that and maybe.
Okay.
How is it?
That's not something the zoning board does. Well, you and they, I mean, we don't present the evidence. We hear the evidence. We don't produce the evidence. Pardon me? The zoning administrator might do that. The ZBA certainly does not do that. And the zoning administrator won't do that absent some sort of request for, so the appeal was on the permit, on the issuance of the permit, not on compliance with it, with the construction and the permit. So let's say that the zoning let's say that nothing had been built. Nothing's been built. They get a permit. They go out and build it now. You say, gosh, they built it right on the boundary line. It's too close.
I need the way it happened for me.
Okay, I'm saying, sorry, let's say that that's what the procedure should have been. So they get a permit, then they build. And then the building isn't built where it's supposed to be. That's a violation, not an appeal of the permit. The permit is still valid because it shows that it meets the 30-foot setback. As constructed, it violates the permit. But you don't even know that, to tell the truth. As I think is what you're saying. You're waiting for Amblo to tell you.
Yeah, but we never would have went on his land and measured the distance from what,
Len Amblo can do that, I believe. And if he can't, I would assume that the Hathaways would say, yes, you can do that, because otherwise it makes.
I mean, this is where the communication would have been wonderful because we could have talked with them and
One of the problems you have is you don't have an attorney helping you with this. And so you're coming in.
My
and
letter
The
said,
ZBA is probably very sympathetic
said-
to your plight.
my letter said to appear. Here I am.
Yeah, the ZBA is probably very sympathetic to your plight because they've not had an attorney helping them make decisions previously for a number of years. And so what happens tonight may be a much more formal process because I'm here than it would be if they were just going it alone. Okay, so in addition, the zoning administrator has handed me the tax map, and so I'll just mark this as zoning administrator tax map for purposes of identification.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Or them.
Is that a legal document to the town?
No, it's not a survey.
Oh, I was gonna say, that's.
It's not a survey. It's just a question that if you were the zoning administrator trying to figure out what the property looks like without the benefit of a survey, the zoning administrator would probably look at this. But it is not a survey, and the tax maps always say this is not to be used for purposes of describing the property. It's just a handy tool, the only tool the zoning administrator may have in some instances.
Might we have the chance to return with a lawyer? Might we have the chance to return with a lawyer?
That, I mean, you can make that request, isn't it, if we would adjourn to come back.
I
again and
request
hear
it.
further.
You know,
You
I
request
certainly
it?
would suggest
Absolutely.
that you consult with an attorney. We are expensive, but it's probably cheaper than not getting a decision that, you know,
Well,
come into this and be caught unaware.
well, I was asked to appear and I did that, and I brought what information I thought pertinent to this meeting, and a lawyer was not suggested, or we did contact one, and of course, you only get so much time. You guys just don't, show up when you snap your fingers. So, we've asked.
I think we understand. If you reasonably need more time. I
We
think
do.
reasonable
do.
request has been-
They were tied up.
But I don't think it's an unlimited request. I think that you need to.
But,
You get Len to do something quickly.
that's just as hard as getting you guys to do something quickly. I mean, when there's leaves on the trees, it's kind of hard for a surveyor. They have some nice new equipment nowadays, but it's still not infallible. And on top of that, they use radio signal and such, and, leaves on a tree, can prevent some of that, but he is waiting and ready to get this done. He knows it's a job that has to be done.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I just, I'm afraid I'm just gonna get shorted. I mean, all this extra land here is pushing my way.
You don't need to worry about that here. This
Oh.
hearing is not going to establish who owns what,
Oh. really?
okay? That's not what the board has the authority to do.
That's why we want more information.
Okay. But again, that's where my real suggestion is that I sort of told you that I think that your appeals, the basis for your appeal are not issues for ZBA to consider at this point in time. But that's not to say that you can't come back once Len Amblo has finished his survey work. And if it turns out that that according to Len Amblo, the cottage as built is too close to the boundary line. And I hope for the Hathaway's sake and for everybody's sake that it's not. And it's the same thing on the drainage, is that's not something the zoning board, I think, is going to say that there's a grounds for an appeal at this point.
Like I said,
All right.
just not very nice.
Now,
Okay.
Mr. Bonanni may have some questions of you.
Oh.
Sure. Whatever you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to move up here and be close to a microphone, in which case I'll turn it this way.
Do that time.
You have to be on the mic. If your mouth isn't like within an inch, it's all garbled.
Lot of effort. So you don't live in the property that's been found.
No.
It's all camps up there.
And, I heard you say before that your biggest issue is that. That's. So that's.
No, that's not why we pursued this. We didn't think the drainage toward us was very nice. And the unsureness of the cabin's location in comparison to where the boundary line might actually be.
We don't know where the boundary lines are.
So there's a question of that, but you don't know whether it violates.
We didn't measure it. We thought it was something that they did. But who tells us that it is? Hathaways?
We know we had to put up little flags and have the town come and approve where we were gonna put our camp. And if the camp's already built, then I know that didn't happen.
But you don't know as you sit here today, whether or not there's a violation of a setback.
I assume, and I'm saying that I assume that it is not correct because the boundary lines have been in question ever since the rebars have been removed from the roadside.
And are you saying that the Hathaways moved the bound? the
Let me
markers?
say this way. I'm a deer hunter. And I put cameras up on my property to see where the deer are going. You'd be surprised the pictures I have.
So are you saying that?
I
you have
did.
We don't know.
Did I say that?
We
No, I
don't
said-
know.
Oh, you're implying.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Removing a boundary stake?
We do not know what happened to
Here's what I
either of
have.
them,
I'll
actually.
give you a picture that I will legitimately let you see. See the excavator tracks?
Well, where's the one before,
Right
Mickey?
there is where that pin should be. And here is where it was. And let me find the right one. And somebody tried to hide it with a rock.
So you try,
He's getting painted up there too, as a matter of fact. And like, no wonder the guys trying to survey can't figure shit out because everybody keeps going up. painting.
so let me ask you this, Mr. McSweeney, is what zoning violation or what zoning regulation does the permit not comply with?
We just wanted the assurance that it is in fact what it should be.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for, because we don't know.
But you don't know that, you're not saying that the permit itself is.
We don't know.
It violates the bylaws. What you're saying,
We don't know until our surveyor is done.
That's what we're looking for.
and are you looking for the ZBA to determine the location of the boundary line?
No, I'm
No.
looking for them to do it. I'm looking for a surveyor that is hired by us to verify that this is the correct location.
I'm sorry, I don't think I got to answer my other question. Does the permit application or the permit itself violate? Or is it non-compliant? Does the permit violate any regulation that you can identify?
I'm not a lawyer. I don't have all the,
We trust in the,
we trust
trust
what
in
the
the
town
town
is
has
doing
done.
and we trust. right.
and however the permit came about. You know, he
You
has one,
trust it.
just the right to get one, just like we have the right to get one.
That's right. I have no
You know,
reason to
we have-
stop Ron from,
No,
doing
we're
anything
not
there.
trying to.
I
keep him.
said it to begin when I started. I welcomed the guy and I still welcome him then. And even though he's done all this, I will more than happy for him to be our neighbor.
We're just trying to.
We just want it
trying
done
to
right.
Clarify it and make sure things are right.
Just want it done right.
But you don't have any reason to question that Brenda Churchill should not have issued the permit.
How to answer that question? I mean, I know the rules I followed, I stated, I told Ron what I did. I did not see that he did the same thing that I did. So I don't know how he got his permit.
I can answer part of it. Not a permit, because you eventually apply for that, and the application form with the requirements. They filed for the permit last fall, I believe, but prior to the permit process, says that the zoning commission is not issue, the permit's not complete until the applicant has presented a road access permit. And that took until sometime June. Sometime in June this year before that.
Yes, I remember. I remember following that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So it's not the usual process, you normally don't build without a permit. And, you know, it could have resulted in the notice of violation, where you built without a permit. However, the process of what we could do, executive said that it was a violation, then you built without a permit, get a permit, then 7 days. And normally most of the will say, if you start working on the permit, we're not going to continue to find what that build something without a permit. So it's not quite as bad as possible, but interested, most of the cars are interested in working with people who want to build rather than. So they made a mistake. We'll say sin go and sin now, but don't sin no more. So hopefully they will not, if they want to come in with another application or something else, you know, we will do our way.
Although they did apply back in September.
Yeah, but they went ahead with.
That's another issue that we'll deal with maybe another day, but,
It's just hard for us to see when we did all the right way, but that's
kinda hard to follow.
neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Right now,
Because I hope you understand that, Brenda only has 2 eyes, and you can only see. what's
oh,
above.
I
So
read,
Bakersfield has a lot of roads, a lot of. things.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and,
So, there's
Oh.
nothing that Brenda can do about what's been done, but you can see that there's problems.
okay, well, trust me, I tried to read through the zoning pamphlet.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I appreciate, knowing all
We
that
have a
stuff.
copy. We've read it
So
several
thank
times.
you
It's not
for all of that.
on the parts we thought we need to.
Well, we, again, we did not really denying him a building at all. We're just
No.
saying that
Design anything.
we want to know what's right. That's all.
Make it right.
And we were here to find out
What that is.
what it is.
That's all it's.
So, no,
That's the next-
no,
Sorry, further than you want to say.
no, I guess not.
Yes, it's not as pertinent. I got a lot of stuff.
Yep.
You need to
Okay.
look at that.
Sure.
Can't hear it.
No.
Watch that register there. It's a little tricky.
I'd like to start with the drainage problem.
well, I think, you need to swear.
Oh,
we need to
oh.
swear them in.
Yeah, I think it's where you both swear about the whole truth and nothing but the truth of God.
Yes.
So Ron, I don't want to steal your thunder. You want the ZBA to have some understanding of the drainage that. we
Yes,
talked about.
that's it.
Go ahead.
Completely. Can I show you right on the map real quick? It'll take 5 minutes, it'll be all done.
Sure. Which map are you referring? The survey map?
No, the map of the drainage and the pipes sticking out and stuff.
The pictures you mean, or?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, if you folks want to look and see what he's pointing out, come up here and look.
Take a look. Okay, this right here.
There's one in the back. Mhm.
Yeah, you're looking
Here?
at
Yes.
Hathaway.
Sean put
McSweeney
that
Three.
in years and years ago. I never put this drainage in here at all.
To do that with 30 loads and gravel and something. Like that all done.
I went under my pants, that's where that went.
So at the risk of this devolving into a back and forth, can my client stay on then? Can students have questions?
I just bothered you when you were up here.
Just listen for the moment.
All right.
Until they're done.
Okay, this right here, I didn't put this in.
Okay,
Okay.
so that, we're
Thi-
looking at McSweeney 3 for the purpose of the record. And the line that sits, a black line, if you will, crossing the back of the property is a line that you did not put
I
in.
didn't put that in.
That was previous, yeah, okay, and so this
Okay.
is the ditch that you're.
I did put this drainage in.
Okay.
The pipe comes right down through here, and there's another pipe that comes down through there. As soon as I got the letter from the town about this, I went up next day with the excavator and took all this out. There's no pipes. The pipes are all laying on the ground behind the camp. It's all been done.
So nothing will be coming out of that.
There will be no water going on your property from mine,
Okay.
except for right here.
Thank you.
But that, I didn't put that in.
Mm.
That was there. as part of
That
the-
was there, it's been there forever, as far as I can see. But I did put this in, and I went up the next day when I got the letter from the town and took this all out. Dug it back here and took the pipe out. The only thing I left was a stone.
While you're up here, I just see the survey, I think it's Hathaway A. And Ron, can you just, I don't know if we want to draw on that or if you just can point to where you constructed the camp with respect to the survey.
If you want to draw it, that's fine.
Oh, where the camp is?
Yeah, why don't you
Okay, the camp
don't you
is,
make a little mark with the blue pen?
the camp is right here. It's 250 feet in, or 260 feet in.
Did you
The
measure?
camp is right here.
Did you measure from the road?
Yes,
And that was 260?
yeah, right from here to here.
And did you measure each side,
Yep.
side boundary? And what were those, what did you come? up
This
with?
one here is 125 feet. This one here where the camp is 125 feet. This is 126 feet.
Okay, but did you measure the setback from where the camp was constructed to the?
Right,
And what measurements did you come up with?
from the camp is right here, the pin is right here. I'm 35 feet from here to the pin in the front. On the backside, I'm 60 feet on the back.
I'm confused to tell the truth, but what you're.
Well, what happened to start this out? We're gonna put the camp this way. Okay, it's 20 by 24. It was too close to the boundary line. So instead of putting the camp here, I put the camp this way. So we gained all that, and I'd have a bigger driveway and, all that there. But he's talking about the fill. I put the fill where the camp is. That was stone that I put there, because you're not gonna put a foundation on topsoil, so you gotta take the topsoil out to put the stone in.
So does that differ from, because you decided that you had measured and it wasn't enough, so you flipped?
Right. Instead of,
So you did change from this initial permit because it was back in September?
right,
Okay, so as built, this is incorrect, but you did build something. So I would suggest that you just give us another piece of paper that sort of says, take that drawing and change it so that it reflects what you actually did.
Did you,
it's in the same spot. I mean, as far as the distance from here to here, I just took it from, going this way and I put it this way.
Okay, so you turn it a
Yeah.
right angle.
So it give me a bigger lawn and stuff like that.
Okay, but again, I think that putting that as part of the record, so that it's part of the zoning file that we show the house is built in a different configuration, albeit a complying.
Oh,
configuration.
yeah. Okay.
has this survey, Exhibit A, been recorded?
Yes,
It's in the town, it's recorded with the town.
yes.
Um,
But we've had a lot of trouble with the pins. The pins are always moving,
And,
always moving.
and Ron or Laura, did either of you ever move pins?
No. Why would I move pins? It cost me a fortune. Not intentionally.
Not at all.
Did you-
know.
Okay, well, when the excavator came in, did the excavator not know where the pins were for him?
No, because the road is When I put the driveway in, the road is dead center of our property.
My suggestion to both couples is that when the survey pins are set, is that some notice be given to everybody so that they can come and say, yeah, we agree on this location, or we don't agree on this location, but that works both ways. Line Anglo said, here's where the pin should be. I think Hathaways know, and Hathaway should let you know. If Mike Jarvis says, I think the pin should be set here so that you can
Well, see,
resolve problems rather than let them fester.
I know it's a lot to figure out and everyone's trying and
all I'd like to know is what are you gated by this? What are you trying to get me for, really? I mean,
we're
What?
not trying to get you for anything.
Ron, I welcomed you the first day and I.
and what did I tell you the second day you come over to my place? You come in and I said, did you get your permit for the driveway? I said, yes, I did. Remember what you told me?
I said.
I asked you, I said, well, somebody down in town was telling me that a guy came in and said you're building a driveway without a permit. And you said to me, I said, did you go down and rat me out? And you said, no. Well, I don't want to say that.
That's something that Brenda requires. So you don't have a permit, Brenda can't.
Right.
I warned you of what goes on.
So
Yeah.
I'm confused about this timeline. If somebody, I understand when the road permit was issued. June 27th, this was initially filed September of 2021.
And there was no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry not to interrupt. Was that your question? Why?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, like
So the Hathaway submitted the application, it wasn't acted upon. And then there's actually another issue here, whether that's a deemed approved permit,
Get closer.
what the Hathaways have done is, did you submit another? You got your road certification. Did you submit another permit for the as-built? Or did you resubmit the old permit? That's the question.
I don't think you're asking the question. I think the answer is that the old application was held in abeyance.
Okay, that's,
Until such time as the road access permit had been granted. So the permit that was acted upon was the one that's right here.
okay.
It shows that it was granted on,
Why we waited so long on the paperwork? It was because of the survey. It took so long to get that all done. Because they had nothing up there to work with. As you know, up there is kind of sketchy as far as all the land. It took a while to do the survey.
it can be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I remember telling you that you should be careful because you might have your lot line going right through your camp. And from what you originally put down, Ron, those big cement
Right,
pylons,
right,
that line
Yeah.
ended up right through your camp.
right. That's why.
That's what I tried to warn you, and that I did not want that to happen to my neighbor. And I still don't. Yeah. Well, it was gonna go right through there.
Anything else?
I just have a couple more. I think it's weird to figure what's happened, but what,
Pick up that mic, please.
so, well, I don't want to leave you out of this. Why did you and Ron decide to? Yeah, why did you build the camp?
Because we want to get on space and all the way.
And what are your plans now with the property?
It's on the side, but we can't move it to go. One, we both. I'm not well. This is dragged on way more than it should be. Never expected this and you will have it. So, but now in the position, people, there are real estate agents, people are, but nobody can buy. Well, this is. So now we get stuck with this all winter again.
We'll do what we can do. expedite the process.
Is there anything else you want people to know about?
Thank you. Can we go into executive session? I move that we go into executive session.
Deliberate session.
Deliberate, sorry, putting my planning commission hat on.
Ms. Brenda, is there anything you wanted to say that hasn't been said? Okay, well, do you understand that that if you don't say it now, you may not say it ever, or you may say it if the board decides to adjourn? Yeah, okay. Got it. So, if you want to hang around, we may make a decision tonight, but if we don't make a decision tonight, it's not, then it'll be in writing. I'll prepare something. Well, I think that the question is, do you want to adjourn in order to give the McSweeney's another opportunity to finish off a survey? But I think that you may want to have that go into a deliberative session first, and then we'll come back out of that deliberative session, say, yes, we're going to adjourn, or no, we're not going to adjourn. Okay? So I suppose you can just close the door and close your ears, because you're not supposed to hear what we talk about. Pardon me? I will do so. I talk fast? Okay. I don't realize that I talk fast. I think I mumble quickly. Okay, so we coming out of the deliberative session, and I think the board would like me to speak as to what they are planning to do for this evening. First, they are going to adjourn the hearing to a specific date in October, and hoping they're going to make that date right now,
October 26th.
October 26th
October 26th.
at 6 p.m.
And are you doing it at 6 p.m. or did you want a site visit, in which case you need to do it during the day?
I do want a site visit.
That's gonna be a
Okay,
different.
so it'll be at 3.
Can we do a different day?
This will be at 3 p.m. followed immediately by the hearing back there.
No, I
No.
can't do that, no.
I think we all have regular.
We have jobs.
jobs.
Is that something that you do on Saturdays or Sundays?
We can.
That-
Okay, so
Yeah.
there'll be a site visit
Mhm.
on Saturday or Sunday, and then they'll be followed by the hearing
23rd.
on the 26th, you said?
Yep.
At 6?
23rd at like 3.
Yeah, let's do the 23rd at 3.
So the site visit will be October 23rd. 23rd.
At 3 p.m.
Saturday,
Yes.
October 23rd. site
Or we could really do it anytime. We don't have to wait until then. We could do it anytime, right?
Unless they want to be present, yeah.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
one public.
And then
Gotcha.
the hearing will be October 26th at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, let me, so it will be adjourned, the hearing will be adjourned to that time. And so there will be a site visit. The site visit is not really an opportunity to take evidence. It's sort of like to point things out. Here's a pin. Here's the building. Here's the building. It's not supposed to be argument.
No emotion, just this, this, and this.
So if you have a tape measure to show, here's where we think the line is. Here's where the building is, and hopefully everybody will agree with that. Now, there were 2 grounds to the appeal. One was the drainage, and at this point in time, I think that the zoning board of adjustment is of the opinion that the drainage issue has been resolved.
To be determined after.
To be
site visit.
determined.
Site visit.
Pending what the site visit may show. So it's not yet fully resolved, but that's the leaning. Is that it's been resolved. With reference to the boundary line issue, the zoning board is aware that that your appeal was inartfully drafted.
On the other hand, they don't want to waste this evening's meeting or by saying, come back and file an appeal, file a complaint with the zoning administrator, and then we'll have another hearing. That's the reason for having the second hearing, is to see if you can get your complaint filed with Brenda this evening, and that Brenda can do her own work within the next few days, and so that we can warn this properly as a hearing on the revised complaint, if you will. We want to make sure that we follow the procedures to some degree, but again, we're cognizant of that you folks aren't attorneys. We're cognizant the board's not an attorney, Brenda's not an attorney, and so that they want to do this in a manner which is fair, but still falls within the realm of what's legal. So, and chances are that the hearing will be your opportunity to present a survey. Now, if it turns out that you cannot get a survey from Len Amblo or somebody else within that time frame, you probably will then have to request another continuance. But we do really suggest that you get something in writing from whomever. I contacted Len Amblo, I contacted Peter Cross's office, Cross Consulting Engineers, Harvey Chafee, whoever, just to say none of these people can get something before you within a reasonable period of time. And I would suggest that whomever you give get the survey work done, is that person should speak with Mike Jarvis so that instead of starting from square one, is that they'd be basically starting from what Mike Jarvis has said, and that surveyor can say, Mike Jarvis did it the wrong way, or Mike Jarvis is right on. It would save you a lot of time and a lot of money if you can have the survey work verified rather than say starting all over again. But again, we don't want to continue this indefinitely because it's unfair to the Hathaways too. And I think you recognize that it would be unfair that they need to get out of there like too. Okay, so if you could get something to Brenda either this evening, just saying, please consider our appeal to be a request for verification if there's been no zoning violation from that they've complied with the terms of the permit. Something to that effect. And then Brenda can then do what she needs to do with that. Is that clear to you, Brenda?
Yeah. May I ask, Mr. Nectar to provide an updated site plan?
Yes, please. That was something we asked earlier this evening. Just showing how it's as constructed, what it looks like.
With any dimensions that we have.
Yeah, and if you can get that to us sooner rather than later, that's great. We don't need it this evening, but it would be part of Brenda's due diligence for the hearing that's the site visit and the hearing that's coming up. Okay.
Make a request for clarifications. There's also an appeal that happens. Sorry. So there's an appeal that Hathaways had submitted on the deemed approval. Can we just combine that? So we're not,
Sure.
it's the sake of economy.
Okay. So let me just bring the board up to speed on that, is that under the statute, the zoning administrator is supposed to act in a certain period of time by the date that he or she receives a complete zoning permit application. The application was submitted in September 2021, and if that were a complete application, then Brenda should have, or Brenda, whoever was the zoning administrator at that time, should have acted on it either by saying denied or granted. Brenda consulted with me, and I think Brenda made the right decision that the application was not complete because the road access permit is something that is required as part of the application.
Yeah, it is.
Chad, on behalf of the Hathaways, did file an appeal from that decision, but we put it into abeyance because we said, if nobody takes an appeal, that appeal can be withdrawn. But if the appeals, but since somebody has taken the appeal, if they want to go forward with that appeal, we should combine it into there.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay. So I think the board just needs, someone needs to make a motion to the board to adjourn for those dates.
I make a motion for the board to adjourn.
Until.
Oh, I'm sorry. Long day at work. Until the site visit and until until the site visit, October 23rd at 3 o'clock
At the site
at the site.
and adjourn the actual hearing to October 26th at 6 p.m. here at the town clerk's office.
Yes.
I second. More, is there any
Yes.
discussion?
No, I should have had more caffeine before.
Yeah.